What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Joel Freeman and you're watching Wholehearted. If you haven't already, please take a moment to like and subscribe. I appreciate you guys doing all of that. This is a special video I'm doing today. One being that it is the 10th and final video in my 10-week giveaway video series that I've been doing on this channel. Two, it is the last video that I will post on YouTube before the birth of my first child. So my wife and I, if you didn't already know, are waiting to meet our first kid any day now. It might kind of slow down the videos to come. I do plan on posting more this off season, but it's not going to be quite as consistent. It's been super fun putting together these 10 videos for 10 weeks in a row. And to close things out, I just wanted to do something nice and simple. It's super snowy. It's like minus 20 degrees outside. And so I just wanted to take you guys through each disc in my bag, and I'm going to rank them in order of my most frequently used discs to my least frequently used. You guys know me, and so you know that I couldn't just rank these discs in some loosey-goosey subjective manner. I had to make it as scientific as possible and come up with a specific way to do this, and so I broke things down into 3 categories. Open course design in calm conditions, open and windy conditions, and wooded course design. Now, some caveats within this, because it's not going to be a perfect system. With the wooded section, you know, I didn't include a wooded windy because more often than not, the woods are more protected, but that also means that the open side of things is more heavily weighted. So like the overstable discs are going to shine more. And so because of that, I'm going to do a 1.5 times rating on the wooded side. So just as a quick example, I'm gonna pull out what I consider to be my favorite disc, and you'd think, you know, one of my most used, but it's kind of like somewhere in the middle. I ranked this as a 2 out of 5 in likelihood that I will use it on an open course in calm conditions. I also ranked it as a 2 out of 5 on an open course in windy conditions, and then I ranked it as a 5 out of 5 in the woods. This is one of my most used discs in the woods. So then we have a 2, a 2, and a 7.5 for our 3 categories. We add them all up for a total of 11.5. That is kind of your example. That's the way it kind of made the most sense to do things in my head. So hopefully it makes sense to you as well. Whether it does or not, let's get into it and give some context to this example. It's also worth noting, I don't intend to treat today's video like an in the bag, but it might feel a little bit like one. We'll see, but hope you guys enjoy. This is the Glow Yeti Pro Aviar, so it kind of goes without saying. I putt with it on almost every hole that I play, so this is kind of in a special category. Here is a Halo Destroyer, Calvin Heimberg. It's the 2021 or whatever, the run that everyone loves. My go-to distance driver, so that one's easy. This is the Metal Flake Firebird. I use this all the time for upshots off the tee. It comes out very frequently. Next, we've got my most thrown Gator 3 right now. It's one of the new Halo Gator 3s and been loving this run. Next up is the signature Joel Freeman Color Glow Whale. This thing is super special. It's been in my bag for 7 years, something like that. And super versatile. I'll use it in the woods, I'll use it in the open, upshots. That one and this next one had a particularly high rating, I think because I will use them in open and in woods. So they're just kind of multi-purpose, whereas a lot of overstable I'll use more in the open, understable stuff will be used more in the woods. These will definitely come out in both situations. So this is a Star Destroyer, super good, goes super duper far, probably my farthest flying disc. Next up, we've got kind of a beat up Gator 3. So this one's been in my bag for a few years, and it's like probably my straightest Gator. Next, I've got a Champion Firebird, and this one does similar things to the other one, but it's not quite as overstable, so it'll just go a little bit farther. This is like just a go-to driver. It's like super straight, destroyer, goes far. I use that Halo one a little bit more often just because it's a little more overstable, a little more trusty, a little more predictable, that kind of thing. Next up is the Halo Savant. This is one of my favorite discs to throw. I love this disc. It goes so far. It's like, it flies like a mid-range while going almost as far as a destroyer. So super fun to throw the Savant. This is my new Chariot that Anthony Bodanza gave me. Thank you to him. But this is just like go-to straight mid-range. I can rip on that thing. Coming back to this disc, as I mentioned, my favorite disc in my bag, and this is an understable Gator 3 for me. So I can throw it, if I throw it hard on a little bit of hyzer, it'll actually hyzer flip and maybe turn a little bit. I use it for a lot of like forehand pan shots in the woods. This one is super fun to throw, but it doesn't get used that often in the open. So I think that's kind of why it's in the middle. I use it so much in the woods, but I use it very little in the open. This one's got kind of a similar story. I'm very unlikely to use this in the open, but I'm highly likely to use it in the woods. It's a Thunderbird, kind of flies like a Sidewinder, and perfect for hyzer flips. This is kind of like a little bit of an understable destroyer. It goes super duper far, and I can throw some fun like big anhyzer shots or whatever, or like tailwinds or long forehands or whatever, but it's just not quite as, anytime you step up in understability, you step down a little bit in control. So I just don't reach for it as often, because just as it gets flippier, it gets a little harder to control. Next up, we've got the Jeremy Colling Champion Boss, and Jerm told me all about these, raved about them, and put one in my hands, and he kind of sold me on them. I've been messing with them and been really liking them. They're very overstable and very trusty, and so when I need it, I'm super glad I have it, but most of the time, the majority of the time, I don't need something this overstable. When the wind kicks up though, it's gonna become my go-to distance drivers. This is the good old Scott Withers Glow Gator. This thing is super special, crazy overstable, use it a ton in the wind, not likely to use it in the woods. Star Sidewinder, super beat up, super understable. Use this for rollers. I think it would be lower in the stack, but because I'll use it for rollers, it does get pulled out for sure. Another big germ disc. This is the super duper flat 11-time Firebird, and it's just crazy overstable to the point where I don't need it that often. I think the only reason that this is low in the stack is it's a little bit on that kind of in-between slot where it's not overstable and it's not straight. It's just kind of like that in between. So it's sort of a specific kind of tool. I also don't seem to love throwing this one forehand so much, so maybe that's also a little bit why. But that one's like a little bit lower in the stack. The Dynasty, I feel like this kind of doesn't belong this low in the stack, but it's just kind of newer to my bag, so that kind of, I don't feel like this is like a super fair spot for it, but that's still learning that one, so it's a little low. Okay, this one, Understable Chariot, this is my like hyzer flip mid-range. Very unlikely to use it in the open, a little more likely to use it in the woods, but it's just doesn't seem that often that I actually need this much flip in a mid-range. I can usually get the job done with a like straight gator, that kind of that rainbow gator. This next one is a Star Destroyer that's been in my bag for a super long time, very understable. And so again, it's low in the stack because it's so understable. Obviously much more likely to pull it out in the woods, but still, just don't use it super often. And next is the Juggernaut. So once the wind kicks up, I'm so glad I have this in the bag, but there are a lot of days where it never gets pulled out because I just don't need something this insanely overstable. So it's just pretty extreme side of the spectrum there. Speaking of extreme, this is an extremely understable putter. And so this is like, I don't know, scramble shots or the occasional anhyzer putt. Doesn't come out super often. And then this last one is a super old, super understable Champion Destroyer. No matter what the disc is that you throw that fits this slot, it's just a hard shot to control. Something moving that fast and that flippy. But if you can find a good one like this, it's a great tool to have around when you need it. It's just very rare that you actually need it. So this one I probably don't need to carry around all the time. But again, you just never know. So there it is. That's my bag, ranked from most frequently used to least frequently. And I don't know, I was really happy with kind of the way the numbers kind of lined up. And I kind of paired that with my own just kind of feelings and like subjective kind of eyes towards the stack and what order they should be in. And that's it for this video. I will pass things off to my future self to talk about the giveaway. Oh, I have so many wonderful discs in my bag, and I owe Innova a huge thank you for creating each and every one of them. Innova Champion Discs has supported me for the past several years, and so huge thank you to them. For last week's giveaway, I had you all guess what is my favorite speed category of disc to throw and how many molds within that category do I have in my bag. You guys just saw exactly what's in my bag, and so you know there were a lot of good guesses out there. The answer was in fact control driver, and I carry 5. For whatever reason, I just love throwing that 9-speed slot, and I can't fully explain why, but the closest I can come is to point you back to what I said about the Savant. It's like it flies like a mid-range, but it goes as far as a destroyer. So that's all I've got to say. I just love throwing them. So 9-speed, 5 was the correct answer, and there were 6 people who guessed correctly. And so like I mentioned in the last video, I pulled a random winner from within those 6, and I was happy to see that this week's winner was Lord Awesome 9279. This name sounded familiar to me, and so I almost pulled him out of the random draw at the end because I thought, oh, maybe he had won recently or something. But taking a closer look, he had one of the best guesses for my dream card, the giveaway, a couple weeks ago. So really all it is Lord Awesome 9279 has been crushing it on the giveaway contest, so I was happy to see that he was this week's winner. So congratulations, Lord Awesome. You've got 10 discs coming your way. Now on to this week's giveaway. This is the last one. This is 10 of 10, the last giveaway. It's so sad. For this last giveaway, I want to see who can guess my favorite temperature to play disc golf in. And so I know there are a ton of variables, humidity and sunshine and whatever. And so I'm gonna set the scene for you guys and see who can guess. So we're just gonna say 1,500 feet in elevation. We're gonna say sunny, and we're gonna say low humidity, maybe 20%. How many degrees? You gotta guess degrees in Fahrenheit, of course, because I'm American. What is that magic number that I just dream of playing in? I love playing at this temperature. I have a number in mind, and so let's see who can guess it. I wish you all the best of luck in this week's giveaway. I will not be announcing the winner as I have been doing because this is the last video in the series. So stay sharp, pay close attention to your YouTube comments in case I comment on your comment to let you know that you've won. There have been a few winners who have failed to claim their prize because I didn't hear back from them. So stay sharp. Make sure if you do in fact win that you actually end up contacting me and being able to actually claim your prize. I guess that's it. This is like hard for me to say goodbye, but it's not goodbye forever. I do still plan on posting maybe 1 or 2 more videos this winter. We'll see. My whole life is about to change, and so who knows. But until next time, I'm Joel Freeman. You're watching Wholehearted, and we will see you next time.